Wow, this is a heavy bag. Don't worry, I'm not doing a what's in your camera bag video. This video is all about accessories and some of my favorite accessories for your Sony camera. It really is heavy. Why is it so heavy? Because of all the accessories. Because of all the accessories. Now I've used all kinds of cameras, from cinematic cameras, DSLRs, professional video cameras, and now I've switched over to Sony Mirrorless cameras. I love these cameras, they give you great results, and I also love the fact that they're small and they're light. However, because they're small and so light, you really need to protect them. So, my first accessory I want to talk about today is a cage for your camera. This is a cage from SmallRig. Lots of other companies are coming out with cages now for Sony and other cameras, of course, but this one from SmallRig is very, very good. It's not too expensive, but it gives you lots of great options. I have the handle on it, which I bought separately, and I'll talk about that in a second. The great thing about this is that it's going to protect your investment. It's going to protect your Sony camera. Now, these come along with all the lines of Sony cameras as far as I know, and they're very simple. You just hook them up, they go right into the camera, and you have a cage. It's going to protect it, and it's going to make it a little bit bigger. My Sony camera is the a6400, and it's a great camera, but I find it a little small in my hands, and I don't have great big hands, so I find it a little bit small. When I put the cage on it, it gives me a little bit better grip, and it makes it a little bit heavier, so I know I'm holding a camera. Now, when you put the handle on it, it gets you really creative. You can use it for great handheld shots, and you can also just use it to hold it. You know you're not going to drop it. I also would like the fact that when it comes with a cage, you can have different adapters to it. Now, I've used a cold shoe adapter here. This is mainly for a mic, but I also used a cold shoe adapter sometimes over here for a light. Sometimes I'll put it on the handle. You have a whole bunch of options, and you decide where you want to put them. And because you have so many holes to make a decision, you decide where you want to go. Of course, you can put a tripod plate down here and attach that to your tripod. It's a great little cage, and I really suggest you don't have to get this one, but you really should get a cage for your Sony camera. Alright, so we've talked about having a cage and how it can protect your camera, but it can also add to your camera, and you can build your rig on top of the cage. That's great. You can put it on a tripod and you can shoot and get the shots that you want because you're building the rig to your style. That's fantastic. But sometimes I don't want to take a cage and I don't want to make a big rig for my camera. It's a small, light camera, and I want to keep it that way sometimes. So let's just say I'm going on a hike or I'm going camping with the kids, and I don't want to bring a tripod and I don't want to bring a cage for my camera. I just want the camera itself. But I know I'm going to drop that camera if I'm just carrying it. Of course, you can get the straps that came with the camera, and that's fantastic. However, I don't really like that. I like something over the shoulder with a little bit more power. Now, this is from Amateur. I bought this online, very cheap. It was under $20. You strap it over your shoulder, you take the other end, you put it to your camera, and you're good to go. It lays right on the hip, kind of like a satchel. I kind of feel like Indiana Jones without the coolness and the whip, of course, and the hat. Even if I had the hat, I wouldn't be as cool as Indiana Jones. Anyways, the point is, it's a fantastic way to carry your camera and know that you're not going to lose it. You always have it there on your hip. If you need to take a shot, whether you're taking photos or video, you just grab it and you're good to go. You put it back, you know you're not going to lose the camera. However, if you're not going to use a big strap like that, I suggest these tiny little quick release straps. Now, this just attaches to your camera, and then it attaches to the original Sony strap that you got with your camera, and you're good to go. Now, why would you want to have these quick release ones? Well, because sometimes I don't want to have the strap on for the whole time. I just want to take some shots and maybe carry it with the straps and then take it off and shoot. These quick release will really make it come in handy that way. Now, we've all had the hooks that come onto the camera. Most people I know have taken them off. They just didn't like them. They rattle around, make a lot of noise. They're made out of metal, and I've taken mine off. Now, Peak Design makes a fantastic camera strap and quick release options for you, but this is a much cheaper version, and they're pretty decent. I think I only paid $5 for these, and it's just another alternative to the Peak Design. So if you want to have a camera strap instead of the shoulder one, you can just use these as a quick release strap. Now, depending on your camera and depending on your setup, you might need a cold shoe adapter for your camera. Like I said, I'm using the a6400, and it has a great pull-out flip screen, but the problem is that if you want to use the hot shoe for a microphone, it's going to cover the screen when you're looking back and you're vlogging like I am right now. Now, why they would design it like this, I have no idea. There are lots of alternatives out there so that you can move that mic over to the side. That's what this is right here. It's a simple little adapter. It's a cold shoe adapter. You hook it on to the hot shoe and then you can move it over and have your mic on either side. You decide how you want to do the setup, and it's a great way to make things happen. This one has a multiple adapter, so if you want to put a light on, you can, and it's a great way to get more out of your camera. Hopefully in the future they'll continue to do these flip screens, because I really do like being able to look back at the camera, but they really need to reconsider where they're putting the hot shoe on this camera, or make some other alternatives so that you're not covering the screen with your microphone. Okay, so if you're like me, you brought your camera home, you're very excited, you have a brand new camera, you rip open the box, actually you're very careful and you open the box, you take out your camera and you notice everything's in there, your kit lens, your battery. The only thing they didn't give me was a battery charger for my camera. Sure, you can charge your battery in the camera, but who wants to do that? I just want a simple charger for my camera and the batteries. However, I knew I needed more than the one battery. So this is a set from RavPower. It's a battery charger and it came with 2 batteries. Now, they're not Sony batteries, they're knockoff batteries, but they work pretty well. I'm not going to say they last as long as the Sony batteries, but they're pretty good and they're very, very inexpensive, which is great. They're the exact same size, they fit. Your Sony batteries will charge in your RavPower charger, which is great, and it's very light, and it also comes with a little case so that you can store everything. If you're looking for a case for your batteries, this is a great little case that I bought online. Keeps 2 batteries in here, some of your SD cards, your micro SD cards, which is great. Closes up. It's also watertight, so you're not going to get any water in there or any water damage. Again, this is just another little accessory to go along with the battery charger that I bought from RavPower. If you've taken the time and invested in a nice camera, whether a DSLR or a Sony Mirrorless, you're going to want a very good tripod for that camera. However, one of my suggestions is to also get a mini tripod. Now this is from Manfrotto. It's a very simple tripod. You might have seen this out there. It works very, very well. I actually prefer this over the GorillaPod because I've had some bad experience with the GorillaPod where after a while you're not too sure if that GorillaPod is going to hold when you're hooking it on something. This thing, you can't hook it on around anything, but it's very sturdy and it gives you a whole bunch of different options. It has a nice little head on it. You just hook it up to your camera and you're good to go. So if you're out there and you're vlogging with this, this is really good. You can actually hold it out and vlog with the camera. It's a very cheap alternative to more expensive mini tripods out there. It doesn't have to be Manfrotto, but I really suggest you get a mini tripod for your Sony camera. Now my list of accessories aren't in any particular order. If I was to put them in order, I might put ND filters on the top of that list. One of my favorite accessories for any camera, especially my Sony cameras, is a variable ND. Now, this is a great thing to have. I've used cinematic cameras that have the camera NDs built in, and I love that. You can just switch it as you go. You don't have to worry about adding an ND filter to your lens. Now, this is the next best thing. Having a variable ND, you can change up your levels of ND as you go by a simple turn of the dial. I think that's a great way to go, and you really should look into getting a variable ND. Now, they come in high price ranges or low price ranges. This is a little bit of a lower one, and I'm still on the fence about it. I'm going to do a review on this one a little bit later, but so far so good. And I think if you're looking for an accessory, a simple one for your camera, ND filters have to be on the top of your list. Now, ND filters come in all different sizes, so do your homework and make sure you get the size that you want. For me, I always go a little bit bigger, and I use step-down rings to make the sizes work on different lenses. I want to show you one of the variable NDs I have for the kit lens that I got with this camera. This is the tiniest variable ND I've ever seen. This is so tiny. I think this is, yeah, it's 40.5 millimeters. And it's tiny. It fits the kit lens and it works great. Now, I don't use the kit lens a lot, but I saw this. It wasn't expensive and I had to get it because I wanted to try out, and it works really, really well. It's kind of hard to get your fingers around such a tiny little variable ND like this, but I think it's really cool that they have this. And if you have the kit lens and you want to give this a try, it does work really well. So far, most of the accessories I've talked to have been very inexpensive. They won't break the bank and you don't have to worry about spending too much money on the accessories because they do add up. We all know accessories add up for our camera. Now this, of course, is a little bit more expensive. This is the Ronin SC. It's a gimbal for your camera. For me, it's a must. I love using a gimbal on my cameras. Sure, I love using my camera handheld and getting some fantastic shots, especially when you slow them down. But the gimbal really works well. Now, this is the SC version, the smaller version. It works really well on a lot of mirrorless cameras because they're lighter and smaller, and this will work well on that. It'll give you that smooth shot that you want. Now, if you don't want to go out and spend that much money, there are cheaper alternatives, and there are a lot of great gimbal companies out there. Now, I'm not going to say a gimbal is a must-have accessory for your camera, because if you get really good at the handheld, maybe you don't need a gimbal. But for me, I love using a gimbal for my camera, and that's why I picked up the Ronin SC. Okay, so we've talked about a cage for your camera, ND filters for your camera, batteries for your camera, but of course, we haven't talked about audio. Why is it that audio is always the last thing we talk about, yet it's so important? The first mic I picked up for this camera was the Rode Micro. Anyways, this is a great little mic, very inexpensive, and it's kind of cute. Isn't it kind of nice? You can rub it on your cheek if you're having a rough day. Don't do that. It's frowned upon. People will start to talk about you a bit out there. Anyways, I love this mic. I've used a lot more expensive mics, yet this mic here is my favorite. Now, of course, it's very light, it's very small, and it works really well on my camera. More expensive mics might give you a little bit better sound, and that's great. But for the convenience and the affordability of this mic, you can't beat it. I really suggest this mic for almost every kit. I use it in a whole bunch of different ways. I use it on my Osmo Pocket as well, but it's fantastic for my Sony camera. Of course, I have to use my my cold shoe mount for this because I don't want to mount this on top of my camera, but that's not a problem with this. Hooks right up to your camera and you're good to go. I really recommend the Rode Micro. Now, I showed you my camera bag earlier, and sure, I bet you made fun of me because it's a red camera bag. Now, I got this cheaper because it was red. Now, a lot of my friends made fun of me for having a red camera bag. Some of them said they would never ever buy a red camera bag. For me, it doesn't matter. I don't care what the color is. Of course, I'm Dave, and this channel is called Red Arrow Media, so it was kind of fitting that I had a red bag. So if you're looking for a small camera bag that'll carry a lot of your accessories and your camera, this one here from Low Pro is pretty good. It's not big like the other ones, but it's just right, especially if you want to run and gun style or just grab it and go. Speaking of going, it's time to leave, but I wanted to talk about one more accessory. Now this is the remote, the Sony remote. You've all seen them. You probably have some at home, but you never really use it. I use it all the time. If I'm shooting a video like this, I use it to press record. I use it to zoom in and out. I find it really valuable. And if you have these, get it out, dust it off, and you're good to go. This is one of those accessories that people don't think they're really going to use, but I had this for an older Sony camera, and it works great with these new mirrorless cameras. Sometimes we might overthink these little devices, but they really do come in handy. Anyways, thanks for watching. I'm going to press stop now. It's not working. I'm pressing the button. Did you change the batteries? No. Anyways, thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. Subscribe if you like, and I'll try to get... Maybe I need new batteries. This is embarrassing. This is embarrassing. See ya.